And good evening. We are live. Wow. I got a lot of people in the chat. This is kind of unusual. This isn't real earth shattering news because we pretty much already know what I'm getting back. Let me redirect my microphone here. Hopefully, you guys can hear me all right. Audio's doing well. And you can see me face for radio. So, yeah, we got, and it was funny. I got the NPRC request back really quick. And during COVID, it was taking forever. I mean, I had a bunch of requests in and I wasn't getting anything back, but they're on top of it. So this is going to be part one. Now, one thing I didn't realize, and probably because I've never done it before, when I submitted the SF 180, which is Standard Form 180, Request for Records, Freedom of Information Act, I had two different dates of service, two different components, U.S. Army Reserve, well, actually three, U.S. Army Reserve, and Army National Guard. Well, the government being the government, with the clerks that they do have, they only sent me back the stuff from 98, which is U.S. Army Reserve time. And I'm going to show you that. This is a standard form you get back from NPRC. And it pretty much tells me everything that the DD-214 told me, and you can see that that's a DD-214. Like I said, there's not much on it, and I'm not going to post that. And the reason I don't post DD-214s is because a lot of people will take them and doctor them and use them as their own. I've seen that before. I've seen a DD-214 and say, I've seen that someplace before, and I go and look, and the nuances in it are the same. So, you know, these clowns will definitely use their Photoshop skills or whatever to alter these documents and try and make them their own. Let me see. We got a ton of people in there. DP, Dick Bag Patrol, I see him in there. Tats. I almost pissed myself this morning when I was watching your video. Very creative, my friend. Very creative. I love the camo face in the bushes. That was hilarious. And yeah, I enjoyed it. It was really good. Oh, and I'm just trying to take a quick look here at the chat. Man, lots of people. 102 people on my live. I've never had that. So thank you so much for everybody tuning in. This whole thing with fraud at Wrangler has been kind of a crazy. And the timing couldn't have been any better on the video I released. And I was actually watching the live stream he was on. Dr. Dave was bashing him in pretty good. And then Dick Bag Patrol got in there and asked the hard questions. And I was like, dude, you're just nailing this guy to the wall. And the pause and the hesitation and the non-answer right away. Yeah, that's all indicative of lying. But it was great. So NPRC, National Personal Record Center, also known as the National Archives. It's on One Archives Drive, St. Louis, Missouri. An SF-180, you can request records. You have to really highlight it in places. You also have to put your purpose. You also have to comment in there. Service member signature not required for a Freedom of Information Act request. I just put in there that I'm a fraud investigator, and I usually get stuff back. So You guys ready to see? I'm going to just go ahead and throw this up there. This is the cover sheet for it. And I only got 2 pages back from NPRC from his U.S. Army Reserve time. Usually when you only get a very limited amount, well, there's not much to get back on him. They didn't send me a copy of the 214, which is no big deal because I got a copy from the National Guard from his reserve time. But the cover sheet, let me go ahead and bring that up. So this is the cover sheet. This is what you get back from NPRC. And I've got a folder full of them. I could pull a couple of other ones out and just show you what they put in them. Because this one's got nothing in it. So as you're looking at it, at the top, it's got his name, branch of service. It says United States Army. Dates of service, June 18th, 1998 to July 22nd, 1998. His DD-214, June 18th, 1998, July 22nd, 1998. So they got that right. He was discharged, PV1, private, no salary, source of commission, he wasn't commissioned. Promotion sequence number, nothing. Assignments, none. Or actually, I take that back. Assignments, it says see attached. I'll show you the page 2. It's going to be not correct on the screen. You're going to have to kind of like cock your head. I tried printing it out and I can't read it because it's such a shitty scan that they did of it. It doesn't really print well. And then as you go down, transcripts of any court martials, not on file, photograph, not available. Place of entry, Southside, Alabama. Place of separation, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. And that all matches right up with the DD-214. So the National Personal Record Center is giving me the same information that I got off of his 214 from the National Guard. Page 2. Let me go over here and go to page 2. Boom. Here it is. I'm sorry. I don't have any way to flip this. I'm not all that tech savvy. But I'll try and get a photograph. I get something where you can read it. This is barely readable in the PDF form that they sent me. But as you can see, and actually I can't see on this printed version, but there's only 4 entries. He was in at Fort Leonard Wood, and it was B Company, 2nd Battalion Infantry, or 2nd Battalion Infantry, 3rd Training Brigade out of Fort Leonard Wood. So that all matches up. He was discharged from Fort Leonard Wood, but he's got nothing. He's got nothing at all. So, and the reason I did the NPRC checks, even though I got his records back from the National Guard, the reason I did the NPRC check is just double and triple checks. So the things that were checked, the USAR database, the Department of Defense manpower database for any active duty time. We found all of his active duty time. That was easy. That's an immediate return. And you guys can all go sign up for an account there. If you know somebody's name, date of birth, and the dates that they're claiming for active duty, because you're going to have to pick a date within that time frame, and it'll pop right up, whether they were on active duty or not. The second thing, like I said, I've got contacts. Reach out to a contact. I've got a contact that can get me ATAR's information, the Army Training System. Army Training Records, something, whatever. And they can check that database to see what schools you've attended. And of course, he attended basic training but never completed it. That's what it showed for both of his times in service, the 1998 service and then the 2005 service. So that was checked. So there's 2 checks. Reached out to the National Guard. National Guard said, sure, we'll send you the records. He's a shitbag. Here you go. They sent me everything they had. And yeah, I was pretty amazed at what they sent me. And there were some redactions I had to make because I do have an obligation to safeguard any personal information that I may receive. It's not illegal to get it, and it's not illegal to possess it. Everything I have done has been 100% above board and legal. So all this shit about getting a social security number and all this other crap, guess what? It's all 100% legal. I know all of his little, whatever you want, his roughnecks. Oh my God. Yeah, roughnecks. Were saying how I got it illegal. You know what, dude? Not my first rodeo. Come at me all you want. Fuck around and find out. That's all I'm going to say about that. But like I said, this wasn't going to be earth shattering. But you know what? I'm going to keep after this puke because he hasn't said a single word about his military service since that night when he got busted. And he got a good shellac in there at the end, especially when they were going to bring my video up. And then Dick Bag Patrol just bashed him. It was awesome, brother. It was awesome to see you do that. I was kind of like lurking in the chat. I was just getting ready to type something in, and you got on there and started hammering them. And I was like, oh, I'm just going to sit back and let this one go because he's doing a great job at bashing them with the hard questions, especially when there'd be dead silence and he's making believe he didn't hear you. It was great. So yeah, so everything's checked out. NPRC records are back. This is only NPRC 1. I resubmitted for the 2005 records because there's still one piece of the puzzle. Whoops, did my camera drop out? Oh, what happened to the camera? I'll be back in a second, folks. I'm just recycling the camera here. See if we can figure out what went wrong. There we go. Well, I guess that's not going to work. I'm still here, but I don't know what happened to the camera. It kind of took a shit on me. Let me see if I can get it back up and going. This won't take but a second, folks. At least I hope it's only going to take a second. All right. I don't know what happened. Something happened to my EOS webcam drivers and it crashed. So I'll just, I'll have to be a set of stripes tonight. I'm going to try and keep up with what's going on with the chat here. If you got questions, if you have any questions about what I've done and how I've done it, by all means, please do ask. Let's see. Oh, I'm getting a text message. All right. What's the latest with Jeremy? Well, the latest with Jeremy, I don't know how he's gotten over on the court system down there, but he has. And I sent this big, huge packet to the state attorney's office that was located, I think, in Orlando, and they absolutely did nothing with the stolen valor side of it, even though it was pretty egregious, and they should have been able to formulate that. But he's waiting on some insurance fraud charges, and he's got a bunch of them. And I think he's going to get more time on the insurance fraud down in Florida than he did on the impersonating a police officer stuff. But I think the insurance fraud is going to put him back in jail for a while. He's out right now. He's been under the radar. Nobody's heard or seen from him. So not really sure what's going on there with Jeremy. But I'll probably do a video on him once the court cases pop. He's due sometime in October. And I'm sorry this is so anticlimactic. I wish there was something else I had gotten from NPRC, but it is pretty lame, actually. But I did want to just update everybody that I have received the NPRC. I did want to show that document. And as soon as I get the second one back, I will. What do you guys think? Do you think I should send him an email and see if he might want to come on and talk with me on a live stream? Maybe we get Dick Bag on there. That'd be awesome. You know what? I'm going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and send him an email to the email address he has listed on his webpage. I will tell him who I am, and I would be more than happy to speak with him on my channel. And we'll see what he says. I'm sure he's not even going to reply to the email, but I'll post it up in my community when I do the email. And we'll see if he's got any balls at all. I mean, he talks a good game, but when it comes right down to it, nothing happens. He hasn't mentioned anything about his military at all on his channel since that night, and I don't think he ever will. I don't think he will ever discuss his military again. But I'm just guessing. Yep, not sure what happened to the camera. But anyway, hey, I really appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. If Dick Bag, if I post a link on here, I know you were in the chat. Would you care to come on and say a few words about your interaction with him? Just waiting for you to reply. Guys, there's just so many of you guys in the chat. I'm humbled by the whole thing. I can't believe there's that many people that came on here to see this. And I'm sorry it's not a little more, a little bit more than what I had. I mean, I basically just had nothing but very little information from NPRC, which matches his DD-214, which has very little information on it. I guess Dick Bag's still not on there. I haven't seen him reply. But I do appreciate everybody. Just so you know, no copyright strikes. Any of my stuff, you want to use it. Feel free. I don't mind. I don't monetize. I'm not monetizing any of the videos in regards to this. Did he? All right. Let me... All right, Dick Bag. Here's the link. So I will watch the backstage here and see who pops in. Man, some of these names are very creative. I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. That's their name. I love it. You can be very creative on here. Hey, there he is.
Hello, hello.
Hello, good evening. Man, I tell you, I was very impressed with your questioning on that live stream. That was amazing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, well, it's funny when you
Still there? Uh-oh.
like I didn't want to harangue him, you know. I thought he was gonna crack there for a second when Troll and his wife came at him. They kind of encouraged him. Hey, just admit it, man. Just come out with it, and it'll be fine. And for a half a second, I thought he was gonna crack, but nope. And then he doubled down.
Yeah, he did double down, man. I mean, you pushed him on the on that, and he said he did get shot on deployment, and I was like, what?
Yeah, yeah, okay. And then he said he went, but he did admit to Troll a few seconds later that he wasn't an Army Ranger. So it's like he's picking. I'm wondering if he wasn't trying to concoct a way to be able to say it was combat related in his head and answer it that way. I wonder if maybe somebody didn't like kick his ass really bad or something, and then he was thinking, "Oh yeah, that's combat, right?" You know what I mean? Like, because he's a pathological liar. I feel pretty safe saying that at this point. First of all, anybody who will lie about their military service, and I'm not talking about the bullshit stories people tell, so little bar stories or whatever, but to lie about being a wounded combat vet is about as low as you can get. And again, if you're not military, just imagine somebody told you they were at 9/11 and like ran out of a burning building or something, or pulled a buddy out of the rubble, and then it turns out they were in Nebraska. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. That's as when Josh sent me his channel, he says, "Hey, take a look at this guy. I think he's full of shit." And then when I got back to Josh, I was like, "Yeah, he's full of shit. There's no doubt. I just didn't realize how much he was full of shit."
Yeah,
so,
and I didn't know about some of the other stuff. Like they sprung the fundraising shenanigans he pulled. To a lesser degree, stealing content, but also, I don't know if you're aware, but he has a criminal past, felonies, and he's currently facing felony charges too, still. So the guy's just, when you add all that together, you get the picture of who he is, and it's blowing my mind that anybody is still over there watching him. I mean, I'm surprised. I probably shouldn't be surprised, but the fact that they're trying to like grasping at straws, trying to come at you. Oh, he can't get his socials. Yeah, I'm just like, you guys don't even know, man. This guy's the real deal. I know he saw that video thumbnail on Troll on the live stream of you in front of the picture of your chest full of medals behind it, and he said nope, and he headed for the hills.
yeah, and and that's actually that's not even mine. My ribbon rack resembles that very closely. I've got the same awards on it, but I can't get a good picture of mine.
Well, I mean, either way, we know, it's kind of hard to express to non-military people, but like, this guy's for real, guys. Just take my word for it. I don't know. He's one of the most squared away individuals you're going to run across. You know, you could set your watch by this guy. I'm telling you.
Well, and that's how I try and keep my content. I had a troll today that was kind of trolling me in the comments on my community. And he's like, oh, you know who you're associating with and blah, blah, blah. And he was talking about Stone Vet. And I'm like, yeah, what does that got to do with my content, who I associate with?
Right.
And I basically told him, I says, I really don't care if you don't particularly like who I don't associate with. Josh had reached out to me, and I gave him a hand, and, you know, he was off base a little bit with Blue Bacon, and I kind of got him on the straight and narrow with that one. And is there some embellishment there? Oh, probably is. It's, you know, but he was a veteran. He was an MP. He did time over in Germany and all that. And I got him straightened out on that. And now he's a little more cautious before he starts calling people out. So if I helped him out with that, you know, that's a win-win. Plus, he's a funny dude. I talk to him on the phone every now and then, and we chat a lot. And yeah,
he's an interesting fellow.
He definitely is.
But and the other thing is, like I said, you don't accuse people of stolen valor lightly, because it is such a scummy thing. You know, you don't want to just throw that at somebody. So.
Well, I definitely do my due diligence, and I'll let you in on one. I'm not going to mention a name or an identity on YouTube, but there was one guy I was ready to drop the hammer on, and I'm so glad I didn't, because I did a little bit more digging, and I finally got the information I needed, got the correct birth date. And then he popped up in the SIRA database, the Department of Defense database. And then I had his dates of service, and I reached out to my contact to check him in ATARS. And when he checked him in ATARS, he's like, dude, you're not going to believe this. I said, believe what? He said, he was an SF medic. And I was like, holy shit. If I had dropped the hammer on him when I almost did, my credibility would have went right out the window for calling out a Special Forces medic for stolen valor.
Right.
And I just, unless I have the proof in front of me, 100% verified at minimum 2 different sources, I'm not going to call somebody out.
Yeah. But my main point, I am going after him, and I'll share this with your audience if you don't mind. I originally, when Wrangler first started out, he was kind of playing some of my videos and stuff and kind of supporting my channel. So as a thank you, I made him a little channel intro, the little cowboy Uncle Sam thing that's he plays in front of his videos. And then after all this went down, I sent him an email yesterday, as a matter of fact, saying, look, obviously you're under no legal obligation to stop using it, but I really think you should, because I don't want to have anything to do with you. I think you're a piece of shit, and thank you very much, basically. So as of the last time I checked, he's still using it. He never replied to the email. But I did go ahead and make him another more accurate channel intro that I'll share with you guys next day or so. It's a little more accurate to the picture of him. I'll send it to you. Yeah, I'll send it to you when I finish. I mean, it really just, it doesn't get any lower than this guy, honestly.
No, and it's every one of these stolen valor guys. They've all, there's common denominators amongst all of them. They're all pathological liars. They all usually have a criminal background of some type, even though his was after his service. There was a guy, Antoine. I went after him. He was claiming special forces, so I got Steve involved with it. And he actually did an apology video.
Wow.
And yeah, he did an apology video, and I think I've got it on my channel. If you go back through some of my videos, which he really felt bad. And when I first started sending him the email, I was like, "Hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm doing." So people asked me to reach out to you because nothing he was saying about special forces made any sense. I mean, absolutely nothing. I spent 83 to, I got to Fort Bragg January of 83, left in October of 87. So I lived on the economy. I had neighbors. I had one neighbor, I'll just say George. That was his first name. George was with 325th Infantry, and George went through the Delta selection and actually made it through. He was a really good friend of mine. And I had numerous friends that were in special forces. I used to ride dirt bikes with some of the guys. So, you know, I got to know a little bit about it. And it just pisses me off when these guys start claiming all this shit.
Yeah. And I mean, it's not like he made up one thing. I mean, you saw how far he took it. You were mentioning the Wranglers, the Roughnecks earlier. And that was sort of the point where I kind of started checking out, because they were sort of getting to be a little bit of a buddy club, a little too gung ho, you know, and like, I don't know about this. This seems like, you know, and so he painted this huge picture of himself, like, and he didn't even graduate from basic. What the hell? I mean,
yeah. And guys, I got some guys down in the lobby waiting to come on.
Yeah.
I got a couple of people down there. I don't know who you are, so I'm gonna bring you in. I'll let you make a couple comments, but if you're trolling me, I'm gonna dump you quick. So I'm just gonna. So the first guy I see down here, actually he's in here twice. So I'm gonna just add him in. Ram.
Oh yeah, Ram's good people. Ram's good people.
Is he? Okay.
Yeah, we live stream every Tuesday. Yeah. We did a big thing on him last night. We actually, our whole stream was more or less about
all right.
Kiser. You're muted, Ram. Take your mute off.
Well, he's in here twice. I don't know which one. Let me remove that one. Let me add the other one.
There you go.
Can you hear it?
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah, I'm here to troll.
Yeah, right. By the way, Master Sergeant, are you from New England somewhere originally?
I am. I'm in Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's what I thought. You hear little faint bits of it in your accent.
Yeah. Well, I don't have much of a masshole accent. I spent most of my life living down south. I mean, I was in the military for a long, long time. And we lived right outside of Savannah, Georgia for, God, almost 15 years. So I've got more of that.
Yeah, there's certain of your words, especially some of your O's, like copy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love accents. That's why I mentioned it. Oh, what happened to Ram? He went bye-bye.
Well, he's in here. He was in here with two, and then he just dumped out. There was somebody else in there too. So, and I can't remember who it was, but I wasn't going to bring him up right away until we had a chance to talk.
Copy. Yeah, I can jet out anytime. I really appreciate. Well, first of all, thanks for your service. And I appreciate you sticking on this guy, and I will continue to blast him myself. I mean, it's just nauseating, you know. And the more of a chunk we can take out of his subscriber base, I mean, that's his whole thing. If you look at his record, I mean, the guy is probably at this point more or less unemployable, unless he gets some really low-level job somewhere or something off the books. But he's making money off this YouTube stuff and his lies, which is even more disgusting, than just saying, oh, yeah, I'm a wounded vet or whatever to try and pick up a chick or something. This guy's doing it to bilk cash out of people. So double nauseating.
I think he's going to be employed here pretty soon because I think he's probably going to be at the Gray Bar Hotel again, probably washing sheets.
I hope so. Making 6 cents an hour.
Yeah, because I believe there was I know there was a warrant out for him in 22. It came out in April of 2022 for failure to appear out of Alabama.
Yeah, he was on the most wanted list in October of 2022 in Alabama.
But I'm pretty sure that warrant's cleared. I'd have to dig back into the criminal side of it, which I don't really do. I really don't. There's plenty of other people out there that really go balls deep into the criminal side of it, and that's not what I do. I'm more about the whole veteran thing.
Yeah,
and it just kind of aggravates me. And true story, I had just transferred and I got a new job. I was validating training for units that were getting ready to go overseas. And I was E7 at the time. I go in and I meet the guy, my boss. He's a master sergeant. He's sitting there and he's wearing a set of jump wings. And he's got a mustard stain. I said, okay. That has to be either from older guy, I figure either Grenada or Panama. Not sure which. So I started asking him about it, and he said, oh, it was during Panama. And I said, really? Which unit were you with? And he's like, oh, I was with 319th. I was like, 319th? That's an artillery unit. I didn't know they jumped into Panama. Well, they never did. And I didn't think much of it that I said that. And then about a week later, I noticed he didn't have that mustard stain on his wings anymore. And I never asked him about it either.
Wow.
Yeah. And then he made Sergeant Major. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Shit like that happens. But good for at least you put a dent in it. That's good. Yeah, I don't know why people these days. I don't know why. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Who's W Stryker? I see them down in the. Did somebody tell me not to let somebody in? Who is this? I'm going to bring him in, and we'll see what happens.
Good evening, Master Sergeant.
Good evening.
I wanted to say thank you for what you did in terms of Wrangler. Dickbag Patrol, big fan, by the way.
Thank you.
But I'm not going to lie. Wrangler really, really made a lot of us very mad. He made me mad. He made Troll mad. And the one person who really felt that pinch was Blackheart Knight, because we were all in it to help him, only to find out he's only just in it for himself, which is really disappointing.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of that, and I went back and watched the whole live, the replay on it, and I'll tell you, it doesn't surprise me with everything else that we found out about him and his phony military career. Yeah, I wouldn't trust this guy as a fucking crossing guard at a school. Plus, I wouldn't want him that close to kids.
No, I wouldn't either.
Yeah.
And last I heard, going back to the most wanted, if I remember correctly, doesn't he still have a pending murder charge?
I think that was dismissed for some reason. I don't know the specifics of it. Shiz would be the one who's looking into all that stuff.
Yeah,
Or I can do better.
Yeah, exactly. I know Shiz is coming out with something here in the next couple of days. But here's the thing. When you have a grand jury that indicts someone, a grand jury could indict a potato. I'm just saying they could. because it's all one-sided. It's only from the prosecution, and there's no chance of any cross-examinations of anyone that gives any evidence on it. And he may have either been present or involved with it in some way. Therefore, he caught the charge as well. Because to be truthful, I don't think he's got the balls or anything to commit a murder.
Well, in this day and age, almost anything is possible, Master Sergeant.
That's true. That's true.
I'm going to throw it out there. It's a dangerous world we live in, and you think you know somebody, but then again, you never know with people these days. I mean, he could be capable of it. He could not be capable of it. We don't know.
But I'm like I said, I'm thinking that somehow or another he was involved, but probably not the direct player. That's my guess on it.
Do you think he gave somebody up?
Possibly, but I'm going to wait until I see what Chiz has got.
I hear you, Master Sergeant.
If she's, please call me Craig.
Craig.
Master Sergeant was another life, and everybody knows my first name's Craig, and I appreciate that. And I appreciate the respect for my previous rank when I was in. Even though I'm retired, I still got an ID card that says I am. It tickles me every time I go on a base and I give them my ID card. Have a nice day, Master Sergeant. I'm like,
hey,
geez,
you earned that shit, man.
Amen. They still call my dad Sir, and he was a colonel in the Army. And by the way, we were in Panama
during that time frame.
After.
Yeah,
we were there after. And by the way, the unit that he was attached to was the 536 Combat Engineer Battalion on Fort Kobe. Then he got transferred to be S3 or S2 at Garrison Command in Fort Clayton.
Nice.
And if I'm not mistaken, I believe the airborne unit that was right across the street from 536 Engineers was first the 508th Parachute Infantry Battalion.
That sounds about right.
Yeah, because they were there. And we also shared, it was also a joint base. You had Fort Kobe and you also had Howard. And by the way, if I remember correctly, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the 82nd that actually jumped into Panama.
It was. It was the shit. Now I can't remember which unit it was. But yeah, it definitely wasn't the 319th Field Artillery.
No.
Yeah. And he was just a gun bunny. He wasn't even like a forward observer. So it is what it is. They're all over the place. And I mean, like I said, I've got stacks and stacks of NPRC records that I got back. And of course my camera's shit out, so I can't show anybody. Maybe I'll do a video on that, and I will just show some of the results I've gotten back from NPRC. I know they were saying, "Oh, you can't get a DD-214." Yes, you can. You may not get it in the first request. You may not get it in the second request, but I guarantee you, the squeaky wheel, gets the attention at some point, because I have gotten them from NPRC. The National Guard, I'll tell you, the National Guard is awesome. If you have somebody that served in the National Guard and they're out there telling stories, and you go to whatever state National Guard that is, they will bend over backwards to send you records. I mean, they just do. And I got so lucky with his stuff. I sent an email, and within 2 days, they sent me a link. They call it DOD Safe. Department of Defense Safe, and you have to log in and click a bunch of boxes and agree to a bunch of stuff, and then you can download the packet that they uploaded for you. And that's because some of it had some PII in it, the personal identifying information, which hadn't been redacted, which I went ahead and redacted because, as I said, anybody who does this, when you get someone's records and it has any PII on it, it is your responsibility to safeguard that PII. And if you don't, then you could be held liable. And
Yeah.
I am a big stickler on getting out the black Sharpie and just whacking away at stuff.
But just saying, I mean, sometimes some stolen valor stories are just incredibly obvious. I've heard a few. And I could think of one in particular.
Yeah.
He claimed he was recruited into the United States Army at 16. He went to sniper school in Scotland at 19. He made captain by the age of 28. And I was like, that's bullshit. Sniper school is not in Scotland. Come to think of it, I don't know where sniper school is. I think it's Fort Benning.
Yep.
Oh, it is?
I believe so.
Well, it's called Fort Moore now, so they
Nah,
changed the name.
Still Benning to me.
To me, it'll always be the Fort Benning Home for Wayward Boys.
Yep. I only spent jump school there, but that was enough. I'll tell you a funny story about jump school for me.
I can't wait to hear this.
I went to jump school. Now, I was previously stationed at Fort Campbell. I had just come back from Korea. I was PFC. I get to Fort Campbell, get to my unit. First thing my first sergeant says is, "So when are you going to air assault school?" And the first words out of my mouth were, "As soon as you send me, first sergeant." I didn't even get assigned to a platoon yet, and I was spending 10 days at air assault school at Fort Campbell. And I'll be truthful, air assault school was tougher than airborne school. It was, to me, it was, I think, even more physical. So now I've got my little Bullwinkle wings, my air assault wings, and I end up at Fort Bragg as a leg. I get there and they're like, "Yeah, when are you going to airborne school?" I said, "Well, get me a slot, I'll go." So I show up at Fort Benning as an E5 with air assault wings and an 82nd patch. They smoked me like a friggin' cheap cigar. You know, they've got a big tree over by the PT pits that's got footprints on it that are, I don't know, 1.5 feet, 2 feet off the ground. And it's called Ranger Tree. So any of the leg rangers that show up there, that's where they would go do their PT and have to do their push-ups by putting their feet on that tree in an elevated position and do their push-ups. Well, that's where I spent all my time doing PT, between that and what we call the granola pits, which are the sawdust pits. They run you through the showers because they've got these makeshift showers. So you run through the showers, you get all wet, and then you go roll around in the sawdust pit, and you look like a granola bar. And then they PT your ass for about an hour. But I mean, you know, back then I was in really good shape, and I just grinned, and I was jumping out of the tower yelling air assault, and then they would just, I mean, I must have done 10,000 push-ups if I did one in the time I was at Benning.
I gotta ask though, when you went to air assault school, did you rappel out of a UH-60 or a UH-1?
Actually, we did both.
Really?
Yep. That was when the Blackhawks were first coming in.
Oh man.
So we did the rappels on the Hueys, and then we got to do some rappelling on the Hawks, and then they used the Hawks when we did the tree platforms, because they had these big chain link platforms up on the top of the trees. So they'd fly in, you'd jump out onto the platform, which was all chain link fence, and you just grabbed on. And then they had ropes coming down out of that, and you'd rappel out of the platforms.
Oh man. But I still miss the sound of the old reliable UH-1. I miss those.
Yeah, you got to love a Huey.
Oh, you always knew a Huey when it was coming. You always knew. You always know a Black Hawk when it's coming. You know when a Chinook's coming. You just know. It's one of those things that you're accustomed to hearing.
We've
The only
we've got a lot of guard guys up here, and we got a lot of Blackhawks flying around. And I'll hear one coming, and I'll be with a buddy or something, or be at work, and I'm like, "Ah, here comes a hawk." And they're like, "How do you know that?" I said, "It's all in the ear." And sure enough, there they go. There'd be two of them or something, or a shit hook. There'd be every now and then we'll have a shit hook fly by. So
certain things that you just don't forget. I mean, particularly in Panama, we had the Hawks and we had the Hueys. We even had the Chinooks. The only thing I didn't like about Panama was being woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning when the C5s were revving up, getting ready to take off. It'd wake up the whole hill. That's the only gripe I had about Howard Air Force Base. Yeah, they used to flare those things up, and next thing you know, it'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning. I had to go to school that morning. It'd be like, I'm like, oh God, stop it.
That's the sound of freedom, baby.
Oh, I
Yes,
know,
sir.
but I was just a snot-nosed punk back in those days. We all were.
Absolutely.
We all were.
Agreed. I was for sure. So you guys don't mind, I'd like to introduce something that I kind of touched on last night in a live stream, but and I'm not trying to single this guy out or anything. I'm just mentioning it because I think we're all kind of fond of him in the community. But KFAR, he's a Navy vet, and he was part of the Wrangler's crew, and he's still supporting him. Somebody just mentioned that he said he's waiting for all the evidence to come in or something like that, or once it's all in. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it was in the day of that live stream, but well, it's in now, KFAR. I mean, how do we change this guy's mind? I don't know. It's crazy to me that I mean, I was only I wasn't in the Navy all that long. Like I said, I'm not Mr. Gung Ho or anything. My dad was a lifer. I owe my whole life to the military in that sense.
Amen.
But I mean, what the hell, KFAR? Come on, buddy. We're worried about you.
Master Sergeant, I think you need to have a talk with him.
Yeah, I don't know him that well, yeah, maybe Master Sergeant. Maybe, I don't know. But we all are fond of, I think it's fair to say we're all fond of KFAR, and we're kind of puzzled by his reluctance to accept the evidence.
I have noticed that they haven't done any streams together here lately.
He's probably got other things going on.
Well,
yeah, maybe he's stepping back. I don't know. But it would be good for him to kind of let say, hey, I get it. Hey, we've all been duped, man. You know what I mean?
Me too.
Whether you got your pocket picked or, you got hustled by somebody or whatever, you feel like an idiot, but you know what? Learn from it, move on. You be a bigger person. And nobody's gonna think you're stupid, man, because it's a common, it's a universal thing. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't have much respect for Kiser now if he came out. I'd have a little bit of it, but I mean, at this point, it's just like, come on. And plus, the rest of the stuff he's done kind of speaks to just his overall character. But, KFAR, buddy.
I threw some chum in the water on my follow-up live that I did. And, I told Kiser, I said, it's probably not too late to come clean yet. I said that tongue in cheek. I was just kind of chumming up the water just to see if it'd bite, but nothing. The funny thing is, this is the first time I've actually outed somebody that they have not reached out to me at all. Nothing.
Yeah. Well, he's got no scrote. I think that's the deal there.
If I may ask a favor of the Master Sergeant, begging his pardon, by the way.
Sure, go ahead.
There might be two people you might need to look into. One of them is Russell Pickron, aka Georgia Transparency. Another one, and I'm going to say it, DP, the Angry Vet.
I've had a couple of people ask me about the Angry Vet. I haven't really looked at any of his stuff. Georgia Transparency, I have actually seen his DD-214.
Really?
I have. So I can attest that it's a legitimate DD-214. There's things you look for on DD-214s when somebody has doctored one up or made changes to it. A lot of times they don't get the font correct. There's one, I'm not going to say which font it is, but there's one specific font that they use on DD-214s. But I have seen it. And so, I don't particularly care for auditors. I think what they're doing is ridiculous.
Agreed.
Pointless, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's okay. You have a First Amendment right, but is it serving a purpose by videotaping in a post office?
No.
Is it serving a purpose by going to an RMV and forcing your way in and videotaping people in there just to see if they tell you can't? What purpose is that serving other than disrupting the transactions that people that are there are trying to do and don't want to be bothered with some asshole sticking a camera in their face?
And that the answer to that would be money.
Yeah, and that's all it is. I mean, they bait cops. They, all it's going to take someday is one of these auditors is going to pull up on somebody's traffic stop, and they're going to be all up at somebody's grill, and something's going to go south, and they're going to get caught in the crossfire, and it's going to be game over.
Yeah, or worse, they're going to distract the officer's attention and then cause some real problems.
Yes.
Agreed. And if you don't mind me saying so, why should we trust career criminals with the defense of constitutional rights? Ass Elmo.
Yeah, I mean, they can. The thing is, auditing is a real thing, and it's a real job. You can get accredited to be an auditor. You know what I mean?
But these people are not accredited.
Exactly. It's the same way. Yeah, you can call yourself a journalist, I guess. You know what I mean? It's spurious, very spurious in my opinion. But, have you ever taken a journalism class? Have you ever, anything? I'm not saying you have to have an education to do anything. There's plenty of, if you're intelligent, what do they call it? Autodidact, people that learn on their own or whatever. You can do that, sure. But none of these pinheads looks like they made it out of the 8th grade. You know what I mean? So
I think Andre Sloan actually exposed a few of them that were dropouts. One of them was NC Tyrant Hunter.
Yeah, he went to town on that guy. Yeah, he's a good guy. He's a cop. Is he retired or still currently active? I'm not sure, but yeah, he's Andre's a straight up guy. I really like him. Familia, he's great.
If they want to do the First Amendment thing and do audits, that's their First Amendment right. Go ahead, do it, but don't interfere with somebody else who's trying to get something done. It's almost like they just try and provoke some type of a confrontation, and that's all they do.
That is exactly right. That is all they do.
I mean, the ones I've seen. So I don't take any stock in it. I mean, some people have some legitimate bitches. I get it. They've gotten shit service or whatever from someplace, and I get that. Or there's, and you know what? Police officers, they come from all walks of life. And there's bad ones and there's good ones. And, You're going to call out a bad cop, I'm all for it. Please do.
Yep.
But don't do it in a fashion that's going to put other people in jeopardy. That's my whole take on it. So I really don't care one way or another. I don't get into the whole auditor thing. I don't watch the auditor channels. Like I said, I get into this whole thing with the auditors and the guys that go after the auditors, which I've watched some of those. They're hilarious. And some of the big names like Chili there, that guy is really a freaking freak.
He's an idiot.
That's why he's the one that made me so angry. And it was mainly because, I mean, they're all a bunch of dickbags, but Chili,
Amen.
the main thing is he was driving while live streaming.
Oh, God.
Which was infuriating to me, and I finally kept pressuring with videos, and lo and behold, he has stopped doing it now. So I count that as a real win. He does live streams now in his car, but he's not moving. It's not because he can't all of a sudden found Jesus. It's because he knew he was being watched. But either way, I'll take it.
If I may point something out real quick, is part of Chill Dildo's stupidity. That's what I call him. He actually cited an act by Alexandria Ocasio-Chavez, not one of my favorite people. Something about an act or something. He cited it in one of his videos that, cops have to identify name and badge number, both state and federal. And he said, if you go to a CIA agent or something along those lines, they have to give name and badge number. I'm like, good luck with that.
Yeah. Oh, I hope more of them start going to Homeland Security buildings and stuff like that, and military bases, because their asses just get shut down, and they could end up in real trouble.
So, just something on that note.
Mm-hmm.
If the police officer initiates the contact, they have to identify themselves.
In most cases. Some states have it, some states don't.
Yeah, about 90% of them, I say, they do have to identify themselves. However, if they initiate, I know Massachusetts you do. And you also, as a police officer, have to advise if they are being audio or video recorded, because Massachusetts is a two-party state. And that's one of the other things that they have to do.
And I believe that in most cases you can actually file FOIA on body cam if you had name and badge number, or if it's on the report a lot of times.
Oh, well, yeah. Yep. You can FOIA request all that stuff.
But if I may say one thing though, I mean, following up to what I was saying earlier, if Chill Dildo actually thinks he's going to go into CIA headquarters and ask for name and badge numbers, I would ask him only two things. One, are they going to admit they're CIA? Two, are they law enforcement? We all know the answer to that one. They're not law enforcement. They don't have to identify. They would rather say they sell car insurance versus being in the CIA. And CIA never admits they're CIA.
Most of them have some kind of cover story too. That's what they're going to tell you. Either that or he's going to wake up from his nap down at Gitmo.
Right. Exactly.
Chill Dildo would probably be that stupid knowing him. But with all due respect, DP, Master Sergeant, It's good talking to both of you. I will exit out of this conversation because I'm guessing there are other people waiting to get in.
Actually, nobody else has popped in, but thanks for coming in. I appreciate it. I appreciate the chat. I'm always a little leery when I don't know a name and they come in, and I'm not really sure where it's going to go. But like I said, this is all new to me. So, yeah, I appreciate
that.
Welcome to the world of First Amendment auditors and liars and so forth.
Yeah.
But it was a pleasure to both of you. DP, love the channel. Master Sergeant, I will tune in more often.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I will take a look at Angry Vet and see what I can find out.
I copy that. Thank you, Master Sergeant. Have a good night, everybody.
Later, William. Cool. Well, I did email you that new Wrangler intro. You don't have to play right now without watching it first, but just for your own amusement or whatever. I will be putting it on my channel too. But just so you know, I sent it over.
Yep.
I have to be careful with my email. I didn't think it through too clearly, calling myself Dickbag Patrol in a sense, because some email addresses might not accept that.
No,
Somebody.
it came through fine on Gmail.
Okay. Good.
So I'm gonna draft up an email, and I'm gonna send it to Private Kiser.
Yeah.
And I don't expect he will respond to it, but I'm gonna reach out and just to see. I'd be curious. I really expect to get something back from NPRC by the end of the week. So probably next week I'll be doing part 2 on this.
Nice.
I was really surprised at how quick I got it back this time. It was only like a week, 7 or 8 days. And I send it by mail because they like to have that written signature on the SF-180 form. So
Nice.
yeah,
well, we do Ram, who he lost the link earlier, who was in here earlier. He's great people. He and I live stream every Tuesday. So you have an open invitation anytime you want to come by and jump on. If you want to pump your video more on that live stream, you know what I mean? I mean, we could do as far as I'm concerned, we could do a whole show with you if you want. I don't know what your time constraints are and so forth, but open invitation.
there he is.
Hey, there he is, the man, the myth, the Ram.
Yeah, let me mute the other side. I got an echo. There we go. Good evening. Can you hear me?
Who is Jerry Unforgivable?
Unforgivable.
How much time you got?
Oh, Yuri.
He's waiting in the lobby.
I think he's just listening in the backstage. He said for some reason it's easier for him to listen in StreamYard or something. I don't think he's coming on panel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up something about somebody said something about Russ Pickron, only because I did quite a bit of looking into him about a year ago. I don't think it was his the fact that he served in the military as much as it was his embellishments about his duties and his tours when he was in the military. Stalker brought that up, and that was the big issue. And Troll did he did get a lot of that, and actually that's what brought Wrangler to YouTube, was the Russell Pickron investigation.
Yep. So Troll brought Wrangler onto his panel thinking he was a badass combat vet, and to refute the Pickron stuff.
Right. He claimed he had all the information on Pickron, and they did a 3 or 4 part live series, and every day it was pretty much the same stuff. They just kind of scrolled through and were redundant. But I thought to myself at the time, how did this guy that nobody had heard of before, who is this guy? How did he have access to military records? I mean, it's not something you can walk down and show your library card and get, so, but that's what actually brought Wrangler into this community was, and it's not Fraud or Troll's fault. I mean, he thought he had, some good inside info on the Pickron deal. But after all was said and done, there's still this question about, now Russell has quieted down quite a bit, but that was the big question, was some of the things that he said that he did. And Wrangler refuted a lot of it. He didn't have any evidence, but that's really how that all started, Master Sergeant, that's how he got here. He claimed to be an expert, of course.
I think that's part of the reason Troll did the live stream, because
Absolutely.
he kind of felt guilty for foisting this guy on all of us,
Absolutely. He did, Josh well enough to know he was feeling, probably a little bit guilty about it, even though, it was out of his control per se. He's going on the man's word. And generally, when you speak to somebody in the military, their word's usually worth gold,
Yeah. And if you don't know anything about the military and people are saying things that sound, like military jargon, most people just nod their head and go along with it. And Josh, kind of got excited, because Josh isn't, he's a gamer. So I'm sure he plays a lot of those war games and shit. And he probably thought, here's a guy who's really been through that, but there it is.
Yep.
All right. Who's coded?
Coded.
Coded.
Anybody?
Is that the guy that's associated with Chile?
Don't know. I'm going to bring him on, and if he's a troll, I'll kick him.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Oh, it's the old one.
All right, coded, you're on. And
Sorry about that. I had my mic muted.
you did.
How you doing, Craig? I'm a buddy of Josh's, Stoned Vet. A lot of people seem to think I'm associated with Chile de Castro because I'm not part of the clown show that mocks him on a daily basis. But yeah, I'm not a buddy of Chile de Castro's. If you go back in my archive, you'll see plenty of material from a year ago that was less than friendly toward him.
Gotcha.
Master Sergeant Craig, I just wanted to thank you for getting involved. I know you're buddies with Josh, so I know you kind of got pulled in whether you wanted to or not. But I appreciate the fact that you participated in this and that you brought forward basically the final evidence that was necessary to corroborate what Josh had instinctively felt about Wrangler in the beginning and what he step by step methodically showed in Wrangler's false stories. I think Josh put a lot of time and effort and thought into what he was doing and presented a lot on the fly so that everyone could see the machinations and the logic behind his reasoning. And I think you put the icing on the cake when it came to that. And I think there are other individuals that were lurking on the periphery of this incident that were ready to take advantage of it if Wrangler's lies had proved to be able to stand the criticism. So I really thank you for the work you did.
Oh, I'm more than happy. Yeah, I keyed a nickname for Josh. I kind of call him a pit bull because he's very passionate about people and coming across with a bullshit military kind of story. And he's got really good instincts. Well, of course, he's an intel guy.
Right.
He was a human guy, so human intel. So he gets a really good read on people.
Yeah, he does.
But like I said, he's like the freaking pit bull. He works off of that passion, and he just puts them on fucking blast right from the get-go. And and he's a great guy. I've like I said, I've talked to him quite a bit on the phone, and we chat back and forth. And
you might have a little more personal contact with him than I do, but I've always found that Josh is he doesn't take sides. He's working on the information that comes to him, and he's making decisions as information is provided. You brought up Georgia transparency earlier. Josh did a great job in not thumbing his nose at Georgia transparency because he's unpopular as an auditor, but he stayed focused on the military career aspect. And it turns out that Georgia Transparency might not be a well-liked guy because of his auditing behavior, but when it came to what Wrangler was saying about his military career, Wrangler was completely wrong. And Georgia Transparency had a very respectable military career before he left. So I think in the bigger picture of this whole thing, and Master Sergeant, you did help in showing it because you do validate Georgia Transparency's military record. I think Josh is a great example of staying with the facts, as goofy as he is at times, as you know, as willing to wander off the beaten path as he is at times. He does stick with the facts, and he does make his decisions based on fact and not based on the popular opinion of people. And I think our community, auditor frauditor community, and the counters to that is kind of losing touch with staying focused on what the facts are and steering away from what the popular opinion about characters are. And I think Josh is just a stand-up guy. And if you look back through this whole Wrangler thing, he proved that it's more important to look at the character and the accomplishment of the individual than the icing on the cake, the story that comes along.
Yeah. Actually, I just got a text a little bit ago. We were sharing. We were just talking about having to see the daily carnage and stuff, and how that affects people, and kind of a deep discussion for us. And he just sent me a text, and I was like, "Dude, I'm on live," and he's like, "Oh shit, I forgot." He says something. He's watching fucking soccer. So he said he's going to catch up on this, and he might talk about it later. So I'm going to throw that jab at him. He's watching guys who, if you pull on their shirt, they lay on the ground and roll around for 10 minutes.
There is some theatrics in it. I played soccer through college. It's a runtime game. The clock doesn't stop, so you got to have a guy who can flop when you need a flop, so everybody can catch their breath. It's an integral part of the game.
Well, if I didn't bust his balls about it, then he wouldn't be happy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I'm always calling him a crayon eater, so I mean that just rolls off his back.
I said what I needed to say. I really appreciate what you did and what you've done for the community, Craig. I look forward to seeing more from you in the future. Can I do two things for my boys? A little too inside for baseball, but they'll get it because they'll be watching if they're not watching now.
Sure, not a problem.
Hey, fuck you, McAddicts. Fuck you, Dearmid. And Josh, double fuck you, bro. Have a good day, guys. Thank you.
Hey, Coded, before you go, dude.
Yeah.
I'd only heard your name sort of in association with Chili.
Right,
I wasn't sure. Yeah, I was just asking a question. I wasn't trying to.
Well, dickbag. No, it's no problem. I'd like to sit down and talk to you one day, whether privately or if you want to come over to my channel. I'd love to interview you.
For sure. I
like your work. I'm not subscribed to you, but I got to tell you something, bro. The way you handled Wrangler on Frauditor Trolls broadcast was fucking brilliant, dude. You were perfect, man. You were fucking perfect.
Well, thanks. It was, I just want to make it clear. This is not about me. This is just, I think the vets, and I said that even, the vets deserve an explanation for this shit, dude. All of us.
Bro, I'm not a vet. I didn't serve. I have Army and Marine Corps all through my every generation. I have a ton of military in my family. So, I know the atmosphere. I know a good portion of the lingo, and I know the overall attitude. and the questions you asked, I was checking them off my list, bro. They were
Nice.
every question you asked were the questions that I wanted to get to Wrangler and ask about. And I had contact with Wrangler before, even before Welsh News Network exposed his criminal record, and there was always something about him. He's too over the top polite. He's too, everybody's brother, sister. Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. There's just something about him that screams fake right from the get-go.
Yeah, and maybe that was part of the why I was just started. Like I said, he kind of, you're saying over the top. Yeah, when he started the Wranglers, Roughnecks, and all that stuff, which it's cringe. Even more cringy now. But that was the point where I was kind of like, all right, this is some kind of weird buddy club, and I'm out. I'm not really in a that kind of group thinky stuff. It just seemed like, so like you're saying, something was off.
Right. Is your email on your about page?
Yes, sir.
I'll shoot you an email, and we'll exchange some words, see if we want to get together and talk. You're going to get a lot of
Please
emails
do.
from people telling you not to talk to me. Think about
Man. I deal with people as individuals.
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm not choosing up sides.
That's cool.
Like that's what I'm saying. That's part of what kind of put me off about Wrangler, because it's like, well, we're this, and if you're against us, yeah, you're an asshole, and I'm not into that shit.
Yeah, we need more of that kind of independent thinking and operating on a day-to-day basis, so that we develop intelligent methodologies, so that when we need to, when you see a cancer like Wrangler come along, we can coalesce together and work in a group, and then go back to doing what we were doing. I think the spirit of cooperation, which you saw with Josh, with Georgia Transparency, with Tats, with Mystery Wrangler Theater, and then capping it off with Craig, the way that group coalesced and developed a laser focus on cutting out this Wrangler cancer. We need to operate more like that in the future of the community, so we can be independent and be separate, but when the time comes, we can group together and we can, hammer some shit out quick and fast.
Agreed. And you hear what he just said, everybody? So everybody who's been saying, this isn't good for the community, to divide, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Nope. It's great for the community, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
And don't forget Donald Atwater Cameron, who is a deceased, 100% disabled veteran whose family has not received justice yet. And that investigation, even though it's years old, is still ongoing. And Wrangler is still the only suspect.
Yeah, we'll have to see what Shiz digs up on that.
Yep, Shiz will be doing something. I think it's ready to go for the 22nd. Cody, thanks for coming on, brother. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Craig.
I'm going to, I just did a little chat there. I'm going to let Jerry in here. You're in.
All right.
I was going to make it, huh, DP? You thought I wasn't going to make it, huh?
Sure. I gotta dip, guys, because I gotta get back
look
to what
at
I'm doing here.
He's gonna leave now that I'm here. How dare you, DP? Come on.
Well,
man.
I do have things to do. So again, Master Sergeant, thanks so much. Like I said, if you want to hook up with Ram and I anytime, just let us know. And I'm looking forward to part 2.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, I will definitely look into it. I haven't subscribed yet, but I'll get there. I've been bouncing all over the place.
Yeah, that's the least of our worries. You do great
that way
work,
I
my
can
friend.
keep track of what's going on.
Absolutely.
This thing is definitely freaking blown up in a different direction.
Yeah, I do have a video I will be releasing if I can get to it by tomorrow, that would be great. Just calling out the whole situation and running through it. And I have had a couple people email me like, "Hey, what's the deal with this Wrangler situation?" I posted your links to the videos you did already. I said, as far as I'm concerned, this is the only guy you need to listen to. He's unimpeachable. So once you hear that, just remember what he did to Blackheart and his criminal stuff, and you'll get the picture of what's going on.
Well, thanks.
You
I
did an
appreciate that.
outstanding job. Yeah, absolutely.
Looking forward to your video tomorrow. I'll keep an eye out for it.
All right, Ram, Jerry, we'll talk to you soon.
Buddy.
Thanks again, Master Sergeant.
There, DP.
Well, I came on really. I know why DP left because I was about to give him a bunch of compliments, but thank you, Master Sergeant Retired, for doing all the work of bringing out all the information. I have enjoyed seeing all of this, unfurl. All the videos you heard are mostly the ones that he did with me early on, because I had live streams, and I guess he probably thought that he wasn't gonna go as far as he did in as far as what he was talking about, because I had the live where he talked about the RPG story. I also have a bunch of other lives that I think people haven't really listened to, because now that I'm going back to listen to them, there's a lot of stuff there that I think people haven't listened to, where he's talking about like criminal stuff in a very elaborate way that I think hindsight, I think people are going to start seeing some more things uncovered, because he did say a lot of truth and lies if you start listening to him again. But yeah, Josh, you, Tats, everybody that has taken those lives and done all the work that you guys have done has been great. But it's not, like my lives are just like cherries on top, because they're not. It's not. You guys did all the work, right? You guys knew about them and everything. I keep saying, Dickbag had him pegged more than like 2-3 months ago. He just is a very polite person and doesn't like just out people like Josh does. But he was very polite about everything. Everything that Josh was saying, DP was saying it like 3 months ago, and he was just being very polite about everything. He's a great guy. I just really wanted to come up and say that, and say thank you to you, MSG, because I was told by my cousin, who's a Marine too. He's a vet, Gulf War vet, and he told me like months ago to stop hanging around with Wrangler. He told me he's no good. He's a liar. Of course, he didn't really give me any details. I didn't really get that much into it with him. I was just like, well, whatever. It's YouTube. I didn't know how serious it was until all the other information came out that Shiz brought out, that everybody else brought out, his felony records and all that stuff. But yeah, that's really, that's all I really wanted to say. I really wanted to set the record straight as far as like people who had their eye on like Wrangler for a while now, and I really wanted to give it up to DP, because he told me months ago that guy was no good, and I hope that you work with him, MSG, because I think he can make a cool intro for you.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, the video that Tats did was I got to see that this morning, and that guy can put some shit together.
Yeah, he can.
He's
really good.
I was like, when I ever saw him, I was like, holy shit, that's me with camo paint behind the bush. I was like, are you kidding me? I was laughing. It was hilarious. But I'm glad. And like I said before, I'm not monetizing any of these. I'm not copyrighting anyone on them. Feel free to use them as you see fit, because it just needs to get out there.
Oh, I'm with you. That's what I told him, and I told anybody who wants to check out those lives and do anything with those lives, be my guest, be my absolute guest. You guys want to check them out? My lives are open. All the ones that have Wrangler are open for anybody to view. You guys can go ahead and check them out. You guys can do whatever you want with them. No, there'll be no copyright strikes on my side. Absolutely, I'm for getting this guy out there and everything. And yeah, Tats does. You know the Mickey Mouse line. That's me.
All right. Guys, it's been Jesus Christ, I've been on there an hour and a half. I never do long videos and I never do long live streams. And I'm going to have to cut it at this point. I appreciate everybody tuning in. As soon as I get that NPRC records back for part 2, the 2005, there's a little bit more to that. And I'm really hoping I get that missing piece of the puzzle. That's the National Guard, well, the active duty National Guard DD-214. I've got his National Guard discharge, which is the paperwork that the National Guard gives. What I don't have is the active duty DD-214 he should have received when he was released from basic training, where he sustained some type of injury or whatever. I'm not sure what the circumstances are on that. We probably will never know.
Yeah. Real quick. My cousin told me that your DD-214 is given to you kind of like your diploma from high school, kind of like, you know, when it's given to you, they tell you not to lose it. Is that true?
That is true. That is true. Yeah, I've made like 10 copies of mine. I've got them in a safe deposit box. I've got them a couple of different places here at the house. I don't lose that stuff because that shows your military records. And it is. It's kind of like a high school diploma. When you finish up your military career, you receive that DD-214 discharge paper that can be used for VA loans. It can be used for GI benefits, GI Bill benefits. You need it for any VA benefits. It's a really important document to somebody who's served in the military. And that's why they tell you, you got to keep tabs on it.
And how egregious is it if somebody like me were to ask you to show me your DD-214, and this is just an example. I'm not saying I would do that. I'm just saying, like, in the level of insult to a veteran, if somebody like me were to ask you to show me your DD-214, how much?
I don't get offended. I won't post it on media, just due to the fact that if it gets out there, and there's tons of them out there, people have posted them before. And what happens is these turds will take them, they'll doctor them up, and they'll use them to try and steal benefits.
I see.
But I'm not above showing it to people. It is, as a matter of fact, I've got 4 of them. I have 4 different active duty times.
So is it something that most veterans wouldn't gripe about, or is it like, because I want to get the feeling out, because like I never want to offend people, like I don't like to tell lawyers, like, show me your diploma if you say you're a lawyer, right?
Yeah, exactly. And some guys may take offense to it. Personally, I don't. But I mean, that's really the only way you can actually validate someone's military service, especially, when somebody starts talking about they're going 70 miles an hour in a Humvee. First off, the only way a fucking Humvee is going to go 70 miles an hour is if you drop it out of an airplane, especially an up-armored Humvee. And you take an RPG to the grill. Now, an RPG, it's a rocket-propelled grenade. It does not have a super large charge in it. They do have different types of charges where they actually have what they call penetrators, which will penetrate. It's like a steel rod in the middle that gets molten, and it will penetrate some armor. But it's not going to stop a Humvee going 70 miles an hour. It's not. That story was so freaking far out there. I was like, are you shitting me? Did he actually say that? And I heard him say it. And I was like, are you kidding me? This guy, when Stone Vet asked me to take a look, and I said, all right, as a favor, I'll take a look. And I started digging, and I was like, yeah, this guy's telling some beauties. So it was time to do the deep dive. But anyway, I got to wrap this up.
I got you. I was just asking questions, but thank you, sir. I appreciate all the time you've given us, man. It's so informative. It's been so good. Thank you so much.
No problem. And everybody that's been in the chat, I'm sorry I've kind of ignored the chat. I mean, it's been just blowing by. I see some of my loyal subscribers for the past years and years. Hiram, I see you in there. Appreciate you coming in and watching. I mean, there's just a lot of people that, in the chat, a lot of people tuned in and watched tonight, and I really appreciate it. And I'll be bringing part 2 as soon as I get that back from NPRC. So with that, I'm going to say thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it. And everybody have a great night.
Thank you.